You're watching Adorama TV.
Welcome to Adorama TV iPad app reviews. I'm Mark Wallace. Well, this week we're looking at Instapaper. It is one of my top 5 iPad apps as far as the ones that I really love. This is something that I got. It's a $5 iPad app. I got it and I was playing around with it and I instantly became addicted to it, and the more I knew that it did, the better it became. So it just got better and better and better. It's a great application for taking all of that stuff that you don't have time to read right now and saying, I want to read this later. And then it puts it all together, it saves it on your iPad, and then later on, maybe you're on the train or taking a flight somewhere or reading at night, you can go through all of that stuff and really take a look and dig into it. The cool thing is this not only works on the iPad, it works on the iPhone, and it works on any web browser, and then you can share things with friends as well. So let's take a closer look at Instapaper. Okay, let's take a closer look at Instapaper. I'll open up the app really fast, and you'll see that on the left-hand side I have some folders here. One is Read Later, and that's really the star of the show. Starred articles, and I'll tell you what those are all about. Then you have an archive for things that you've read and you're done with but you want to keep around. And then there's editor's picks, and that's from the editors of Instapaper telling you what they think you should read. So first of all, let me go into a different application to show you how this works together with your browser. So I'm going to go in here to Safari, and you see that I have one of my favorite blogs here, Hey Mickey, and I'll go in here and look. Here's an article about 3 tips for publishing a photo book. And what I'm going to do is open this up really fast, and here's the article. Now right now I don't have time to read this because I'm actually making a video. So one of the things that's really cool is this application comes with this little script that allows you to install this Instapaper Read Later. So right now I'm just going to say Read Later. And so what that's going to do is it'll say saving, it says saved, and now I don't have to worry about it. I can just go on surfing the web. So I'm going to go over here to a different article. This is from one of my favorite websites. It's eBowling. This is by Brandon and Denise Bowling. Without them, I don't think I'd be a photographer today. So it's a really good reading. So they just wrote an article on social networks. This is the second part, and I don't have time to read that. So I'm just going to go here and say read later. And so it'll say saving, and then I can keep surfing the web. So that's how that works in the browser. Now I'm going to go into my Instapaper application. Now the really cool thing is this will automatically come in here, but I can refresh that, and so it's going to update. And so it's going to go out to the web server and bring in all the articles that I said read later. Now the cool thing is this works not only on the iPad, it works on the iPhone, and it works on your web browser on your desktop computer. Okay, now we can see that here's the word from eBowling, and we have some other things in here. 3 tips for publishing a photo book from Hey Mickey. So here is my reading list, all the stuff that I've already put in here. So I'm going to open one up here. So this is an article that was written, an interview that I did about Matchstick workshops. It's a new workshop that we're working on. And so you can see here is the text formatted in a special way so you can actually read this on your iPad, and it's very clear, and you're not distracted by a bunch of graphics and things that are normally inside that web page. So you can just read this like a book, which is sort of nice. So if you're used to reading on a Nook or a Kindle, you'll be really familiar with that. So we'll go here, we'll look at this article from eBowling. And again, all of that formatting has been sort of stripped out, and it just gives you this really clean, nice interface. Now let's say this is an article that I really love, and I want to make sure that I rate it as something I think other people should read. I can click this little star here, and what that will do is now in my starred articles, here are my articles that I have starred. And if other people know my login name, they can look and say, hey, what does Mark Wallace think that I should read? And they'll get a list of all the articles that I've starred. And that's pretty groovy. So those are all the articles. If I go in here to read later, I'll see my list. There are some things that you can do. So here's an article that was from the New York Times, The Art of Interruption by Steve Martin, one of my favorite people to read. You'll notice that this is very light with black ink. And if you're reading at night in a dark place or maybe on a plane, well, the iPad is so bright, this can disturb other people. So what you can do is you can go back here into the settings, and then you can say dark mode, and then you'll see it flips around. And so now if you're reading that, it's actually white on black, and so it's really dim, and it's great for reading at night. Some other things that you can do, I'll turn dark mode off so you can really see this. You can actually page through this instead of scrolling. Here's where you add the articles to install the Read Later in Safari. That's where you click and it installs that. There's another thing here called Read Later by email. And what that does is it adds a contact in your address book, and if you have a long article or an email or something that you need to read, you can just send that to your Read Later contact. It's a special email address, and then that will also show up here in your Read Later list. And the cool thing is that email address can be put on your desktop computer or shared with others, so if other people maybe in your office need you to read stuff but not right away, they can just send it to your Read Later by email link, and then that all shows up. So you basically have a reading list that's custom made just for you. It's really cool. So that is how this works. There's some other things that you can do here. If I go into settings, you can see that you can turn rotation on and off. So if you're rotating your iPad around, you can tell it not to automatically change orientation or to change orientation. We have your account settings. If things aren't working really well, you can sync that with Safari. The other thing that's really cool is you can share things on Tumblr and Twitter and make sure that other people know what you're reading. You can tell it when to update. There's all kinds of things that you can do to customize how Instapaper works for you. It's an amazing application. It seems so simple that it seems like it's something that you might not use very much, but since I've purchased it, I end up using it all the time because I really, really love it. Well, there you have it, Instapaper for the iPad. Again, it's one of my top 5 favorite iPad apps of all time because it really helps me stay up on all the stuff that I want to read. Well, that's all we have time for this week. Remember, if you have an iPad app that you'd like me to review, please send your suggestions to askmark@adorama.com. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again next week.
This episode is brought to you by Adorama TV. Visit the Adorama Learning Center where you'll find photography tips and techniques, links to the gear used in this episode, and related videos. For all the latest photography, video, and computer gear, visit Adorama.com. And the next time you're in New York City, visit our store located on 18th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue.